The movie begins with a brief sequence of Earth in ruins. A solar flare compromised the ozone layer about 10 years ago, causing temperatures to rise to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. The planet has degenerated into a mostly inhospitable wasteland, scorched by UV radiation and prone to extreme weather events. Finch, one of the few survivors, is shown at the start. He is a robotics engineer equipped with a suit that guards him against the heat and the UV rays. Like any other day, he's scavenging for supplies with his robot Dewey. When he enters a store, his measurements indicate that UV radiation levels in the vicinity are quite high. Meanwhile, the robot collects whatever is left in the store. Finch is then seen taking some dog food. After departing, he marks the location, so he can keep track of places he has already searched. In the next scene, Finch travels through a deserted town, devastated by the depletion of the ozone layer. Suddenly, Finch's suit alerts him that a storm is approaching. He turns the truck around and stomps on the accelerator, while the gigantic storm chases him. Fortunately, he manages to reach his underground laboratory, which used to belong to the company he worked for before the cataclysm hit. Later, we discover that Finch is dying of tuberculosis. His dog and companion, Goodyear, is waiting for him at his large house. Finch embraces and kisses the dog, then prepares the food he found earlier. While Goodyear eats, Finch only sips on a drink because their supplies are ending. Next, with the help of an AI, Finch begins uploading fundamental instructions for his new project, like how to care for a dog, how to do household chores, and so on. Because Finch cares about Goodyear more than anything, he's creating a specialized robot to look after him once Finch is gone. Finch has done a great deal of research on UV rays and radiation exposure. Later, he removes Dewey's eyes and attaches them to his new robot. After turning on the robot, he starts transmitting data to it. After numerous unsuccessful attempts to communicate, the robot finally nods its head, signifying it understands Finch's instructions. Finch is thrilled by the robot's response and the progress he has made. He also plays with his dog, believing Goodyear will soon have a new friend. Finch then tells the robot to share something about itself. The robot says it has some rules, such as never harming humans, but the most critical one is that in Finch's absence, it must protect Goodyear at any cost. Suddenly, the power goes out. Finch heads out to fix the wind turbine. He reconnects the cable, and the lights come back. Inside, the robot names himself Jeff. Meanwhile, an enormous storm is seen forming. Finch returns and connects Jeff to the weather station so he can forecast the storm's trajectory. Jeff says that 4 different storms will arrive in the next 24 hours, and there's no way for them to avoid it. He also predicts it will last about 40 days. Hearing this, Finch concludes they must leave soon, and he considers San Francisco as their best option. Finch then completes building the robot's full body. After finishing it, he increases the transfer rate and starts teaching Jeff how to walk. With a bit of practice, Jeff successfully begins walking. While Finch is satisfied with the improvement, Goodyear is wary of the robot and doesn't trust him. As the storm looms closer, Finch packs all the necessities and unplugs Jeff's data transfer at only 72%. As a result, Jeff is incompletely developed and acts like a child. Finch calls Dewey to join them but forgets he removed Dewey's eyes. So, he attaches a camera so that Dewey can see once again. The 4 then climb into an RV and start their journey towards San Francisco. At the beginning of the ride, Jeff is very curious and tries to understand everything Finch does. For the time being, the group has evaded the storm. They stop in an abandoned town. Finch puts on the UV protection suit and tells Jeff to join him outside. He then teaches Jeff simple instructions on how to scavenge and about the hazards of the sun. The two share a light moment when they pop some popcorn in the intense sunlight. Yes, that's how severe the sun has become. However, the fun abruptly ends when Finch sees the storm approaching them. He gathers everyone and attempts to outrun the storm, but it eventually catches up. Finch hurries outside with Jeff and orders him to help tie the RV down with wires. After Finch grows too weary, Jeff takes over and successfully completes the task. Finch then secures the inside of the RV. Soon, a massive tornado strikes, causing each wire to snap one by one until just one remains. Thankfully, the storm passes, and they all survive. Finch praises Jeff's effort but is dismayed to find the RV's front tire is ruined. They have a spare tire but no jack to lift the RV. However, Jeff simply lifts the vehicle with his immense strength and asks Finch to change the tire. The next morning, Jeff tries to talk to Goodyear, saying he wants to learn dog language, but Finch wakes up and reminds him it will take time for him and Goodyear to bond. Later that day, a sign indicates San Francisco is 15-22 miles away. Jeff stumps Finch by asking him about the concept of trust, so Finch shares his own story. He single-handedly solved the software issue on a project, but gave credit to the entire team, thereby earning their trust. Finch's health continues to worsen. They stop at a restaurant, where Finch vomits blood. Realizing his time is running out, Finch brings Goodyear inside the establishment and starts playing with him. Meanwhile, Jeff tinkers with the RV. He turns on music while trying to drive. Due to his clumsiness, he releases the handbrake, and the RV collides with the car. When Finch confronts Jeff, Jeff acts innocent. He then reverses the RV, only to crash it once more. An enraged Finch demonstrates what happens to his skin if he stays in the sunlight. He then shouts at Jeff, reminding him that his sole purpose is to watch over Goodyear. After leaving the restaurant, Finch decides to teach Jeff how to drive. At first, Jeff is as awkward as before, but he soon catches on and drives smoothly. Finch is pleased, though Goodyear still distrusts the robot. At night, they camp by the roadside. The magnificent northern lights are visible because the ozone layer is basically gone. Jeff suggests they could drive during the night. Finch explains that desperate people roam at night, so it can be dangerous. In the morning, Finch vomits blood and trembles. Jeff carefully checks on him, asking if he should call a doctor. Then they resume their journey. On arriving in a major city, Jeff wakes Dewey, and the two go out to look for supplies. They come upon a hospital that appears ransacked, but Jeff hasn't learned that yet, so he keeps going. When Finch awakens, he realizes both robots are gone and immediately senses danger. Despite his fragile state, he dons his suit and goes looking for Jeff and Dewey, aware someone is stalking them from the shadows. Upstairs, Jeff is thrilled to find food, medicine, and even a fashionable jacket for himself. Meanwhile, Dewey discovers some snacks, but fails to notice a bear trap set nearby. As he reaches for the snacks, the trap clamps onto him. A horrified Finch finds Dewey and apologizes before powering him off. Finch hears a commotion and locates Jeff. Finch insists they can't linger there because it's not safe. They make a break for it, but Finch can barely stand. Once they reach the RV, they speed away, only to be followed by a mysterious vehicle. A while later, Finch hands the wheel to Jeff, urging him not to mess up. He spots the car tailing them and tells Jeff to switch off the headlights since Jeff can see in the dark. While they're still being pursued, Finch instructs Jeff to accelerate. Driving into a storm, Finch grabs the wheel and steers off the main road, intending to use an underpass. Jeff warns that the RV's height is too tall, but Finch ignores him, and they crash, destroying the RV's solar panels. After the crash, Jeff pushes the RV under the overpass with his superior strength. The vehicle that was chasing them approaches, halts briefly, and then drives away. Once Finch sees they've gone, he rushes outside to discover that their solar panels are shattered. He blames himself for his poor decision and states he can't fix them. Jeff offers to take them to San Francisco, but Finch tells him to be quiet. Finch returns to the RV in anger while Jeff stands outside in the rain. After some time, Jeff comes back inside and informs Finch he believes they can still reach the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Finch shares another story, explaining why he doesn't trust people and how he found Goodyear alone in a bag. He recounts Goodyear's fear and how Finch vowed to protect him at all costs. Finch also reveals that hunger can make good people turn violent, and that he hid like a coward while some teenage boys assaulted and killed a young girl and her mother in a supermarket. The next morning, another sign indicates 480 miles to San Francisco. Jeff is behind the wheel while Finch rests. Suddenly, Jeff spots a butterfly on the windshield. He stops, wakes Finch, and points out the butterfly. Finch stretches his hand out, noticing it's no longer harmed by sunlight. He then steps outside and feels the sun. Apparently, the UV radiation has lessened to the point where it's no longer lethal. He spots a blooming flower and another butterfly and laughs in sheer relief. As they continue, they pass thriving fields of flowers. Later, Finch dresses up, and they decide to have a picnic under the sun, something he hasn't done in over a decade. Finch recounts more memories, lamenting that he wishes he could do more in life. Hearing this, Jeff excitedly suggests they leave now so they can reach the Golden Gate Bridge in 18 hours. But Finch admits he can't go on any further. Saddened, Jeff promises to look after Goodyear when Finch is gone. After that, Finch takes out Goodyear's ball, and the two play fetch. He then hands the ball to Jeff, explaining that this is how you establish trust with a dog. They enjoy a brief moment together until Finch starts coughing up blood, staining his white suit. When Jeff asks if there's anything he can do, Finch replies that Jeff has already done enough. Finch shakes Jeff's hand, and they share a hug. Jeff is visibly upset, showing he is capable of emotions. Jeff helps Finch back to the RV, where Finch lies down. Goodyear comforts Finch while Jeff packs up their belongings. Finch gently pats his beloved friend one last time before passing away. Jeff and Goodyear then cremate Finch in the fields along with his UV suit. Following their mourning, Jeff takes over Finch's daily routines and feeds the dog. Later, they resume playing fetch. With Jeff, Goodyear eventually feels safe and warms up to him, and together, they hit the road again. Goodyear finally accepts Jeff, who now fully comprehends his responsibility toward the dog. They eventually reach the Golden Gate Bridge, where Jeff constructs a little memorial for Finch. There, they find numerous messages left by survivors for their families, indicating that more people are still alive and might be reunited someday. In the final moment, Jeff attaches his drawing of Finch, Goodyear, and himself to the fence. The two then depart toward an uncertain but hopeful future. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.